Good afternoon. The Crucible Theatre is all set for 2 days of pure theatre. Our lineup in this year's Betfred World Championship final is one for the ages. 46-year-old Ronnie O'Sullivan within touching distance of this trophy again, and with it a record equalling 7th world title. But Judd Trump, icon of his generation, is trying to spoil the party of his boyhood hero and become a multiple world champion himself. Yep. Here in Sheffield, it's all about the records. Well, Steve Davis and Stephen Hendry have created records in this room. You are the history guys, you are the record breakers. 13 world titles between you. Mr. Hendry, are you coming to terms with the fact you might have company shortly on 7?
I am coming to terms with it. I think I'm growing as a person, Hazel. I think I'm maturing.
Do you think so, Steve?
Yeah, I think I am.
Vaguely. But it's a huge quest for Ronnie. It's been a real mission. How have you rated his quest so far?
He's been totally focused from day one, I think. Even when he went 3-0 behind to David Gilbert in the first round, he made that century in the 4th frame. I think from then on, he's been the player to beat. I think you can count on one hand the amount of easy shots he's missed. He's just not making any mistakes. These
are the stars of their respective generations, Steve. In a way, does this almost feel like a kind of era-defining match?
Yeah, in some ways it does. I mean, you know, not want to talk about the past too much, but obviously when I was at the top of the tree and then Stephen came along, I think that was similar. But I think maybe there was much more room for improvement in the game then. But I think if Judd were to take the game to the next level over Ronnie, that would be tough, because I think Ronnie produces a standard that's a lot closer to what's humanly possible on the snooker table. So it will be a monumental task for Judd Trump to beat Ronnie with his A game.
Indeed, many commentators are saying that he's got here with a B+ game. That has been clearly enough. But in terms of the snooker that he's played, he lit this place up in 2019. How close is he to just finding that extra X factor today?
I think he plays a different kind of snooker than he did then. I think it's a more measured game. He's still, he's still very, very aggressive, and we've not seen that absolute 100% aggressive Judd Trump yet. And I think that's the thing that would put Ronnie in the back foot. If Judd can produce that game in this final, because Ronnie's not been put under really a lot of pressure yet in this championship.
You know, they've played in the other 2 Triple Crown finals. We've had a Masters final, we've had a UK final between these guys. In a way, their careers have been building up to this big moment, and it's boiling up beautifully over the next 2 days, Steve.
Yeah, and they're both great shot makers, and they can both, as I said last night, steal the thunder away from their opponent. It's set up beautifully. They are both big occasion players. What more could you ask for the final?
Well, everybody has their way of coping with the nerves in the final few moments. That 2005 world champion Shaun Murphy is backstage in the practice room. He starred in 4 of these glittering occasions. What is it like in the last few moments beforehand, Shaun?
Well, the trick to building up for any final is to treat it just like any other match. But this is the World Championship. It's not just any other match. The guys, they took the morning off. They took advantage of no play in the morning. But I can tell you that Ronnie was in about half an hour ago, hitting the ball nicely, preparing, checking all aspects of his game. And Judd, he was in loosening up as well, getting the cobwebs off from yesterday. They both look in fine form, and I think they're going to put on a great show.
Well, it's a long old road to this final, isn't it? They've had to win 4 matches and 53 frames just to get here. And let's remind you of their respective journeys to the grandest stage of them all.
That's a cracker. Judd Trump, he'll be pleased to be going through to the second round. Can you get it safe? Can you pot it? Can you pot it? And the rocket rolls on.
It's a Judd Trump special there.
This is close. Is it in? And that's the match.
Well, that's just delightful.
What a shot he's played there.
Ronnie O'Sullivan in vintage form. It's a tough hit, this. To get it right, it is. Wonderful.
It's been an awesome display this evening. Wow.
Great pot. What a pot! The genius of Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Michael very close to doubling the red. Wow. So roll up to the corner. It looks good. It looks very good. It's in. One of the best semi-finals here at the Crucible Theatre. And that's excellent.
Would you believe it? What a mouth-watering clash when Ronnie O'Sullivan meets Judd Trump in a two-day final.
Oh, what a contrast in their respective journeys to get here. Steve, let's make the case for Judd Trump. How hard has he been pushed in the last three matches in particular? And yesterday, something quite extraordinary against Mark Williams.
Yeah, I think that's tuned him up. They're sort of like, you can make a case both ways, isn't it? Have tough matches and play yourself into form, or win your matches easily and effectively you feel bulletproof because of that. But I think for Judd, it's been good that he's had a lot of tough matches because to start with, he wasn't really firing. Now all of a sudden, I think he's sort of forgotten that. He's become less afraid of what's going on there and just playing the game of snooker.
In what way, Steve, do you feel better equipped having had to go through the mill to get here?
You're not frightened of it happening again. And when you're tested, you enjoy the challenge, and it's business as usual, even though it's the final of the World Championship. You've had 2 or 3 matches, and you go, here we go again, I'm going to enjoy it.
Now, the case for Ronnie, who's hardly been pushed. A couple of times he's been 3 frames behind. But can you talk a little bit about his focus, and in particular his self-discipline in the matches that we've seen so far, Steve?
Well, as I say, he's making very, very few, if any, unforced errors. The only time I think I've seen him miss a black off his spot was last night against John Higgins, when he only needed a frame, I think, to win the tournament. Every match he's played, his final session, he's only needed 2 or 3 frames to win it. So he's been, steamrolling his opponents and really bullying his opponents. That's why I think today, the first session, is all important for Judd Trump to stay with him.
OK, how do you reset after all of the emotion of the semi-finals? And how do you know that there's enough in the well for the final?
You reset because you have the experience to do it, and you've already done it many times before. You have no idea what's left in the tank, and that's what they're here to try and test out.
You know this too.
Yeah.
Were there times that you came out here and didn't know how much was left?
Well, I mean, you feel, obviously, in the dressing room, I felt almost nauseous in the dressing room with nerves. But when you come up here, it's about treating it as just another game. It's something that you can't teach, I don't think. You just got to walk out here. The occasion's unbelievable, but it's just another game of snooker.
I think one of the fascinating facts ahead of this is that in the finals that they've played so far, they've played 8 so far, and it's Judd who has 5 wins to Ronnie's 3. Now, I'm sure that's a stat that will surprise many people, but he's been the dominant force in the last few years in their head-to-heads.
Yeah, he's one of the few players, I think, that can actually outplay Ronnie and stamp his authority on the match. Not many players can do that, but this would be the ultimate test and, the icing, I suppose, on that cake.
It is a clash of eras, I guess, but it's not a clash of styles. So is this going to be full of big contributions and massive breaks?
I would imagine it'd be lots of high scoring. I think there will be periods. There'll be 2 or 3 frames where it might go over sort of 30, 40 minutes of tactical play, but I think in general it's going to be snooker the way it should be played. OK, guys, we can feel the electricity. That's your opinion, of course. My opinion.
Don't diss your great colleague there. Well, we can feel the electricity in the atmosphere in this packed Crucible Theatre, but let's get a little taste of the atmosphere backstage now. A little twitchy, I would imagine. Ken Doherty?
So here we are in the corridors outside the dressing room. Ronnie O'Sullivan here, Judd Trump here. Jack, you know Judd so well. How is he feeling and how is he after that epic encounter yesterday?
Yeah, incredible match last night. I think he was quite tired, and we all went to dinner, but no one was really speaking so much. I think it sort of took it out of everyone there. But I asked him this morning. I said, "How are you feeling? Like, do you feel tired?" Because like I remember last week, you know, at the game after Neil, I was knackered, and he was like, "No, I feel all right." So I think he's probably quite used to being in this situation, and he looked good. Yeah, I mean, everybody's looking forward to this final. He must be so excited, and the fact that he's playing Ronnie is even better. Yeah, he said like to be playing Ronnie is this like the dream, you know. Ronnie was like everyone's idol sort of growing up, and I think it could be like one of the best finals ever. Absolutely. How do you think it's going to go? Do you know what? I feel like one of them's going to go ahead, and then the other one's going to peg it back. I think it's going to end close and be a classic. Yeah, can't wait. Can't wait. Yeah.
Well, there's plenty of history, as we've been saying, between these guys. In overall matches, it's Trump who just has his nose in front of O'Sullivan with 15 wins to 14. But this will be the 9th big final that they've played in their respective careers. And they've met in that UK. That was won by Ronnie in 2014. And a Masters final won by Judd in 2019. And the journey has led them here to this World Championship final. And backstage, Steve and Stephen, you know these moments very well indeed. Can Ronnie be denied? Will Ronnie be denied?
I kind of think destiny is on his side for this time at the Crucible. But if Judd plays the way he played against John Higgins in the 2019 final, he was unplayable then.
We shall see. It is time for action in this year's grand finale. And that means it's time for MC Rob Walker. All yours, Rob.
Thank you. Good afternoon. After 15 fabulous days of heartache, drama and glory, it all comes down to this. What a match in prospect. 2 record breakers, 2 history makers, 2 all-time greats bidding for our sport's ultimate title. It's time for the 2022 Betfred World Snooker Championship Final. It's time to get the boys on the bays. Please welcome the best player of his generation and the outstanding performer of the last 3 years. Decades after his dad drove him to all those tournaments as a boy, he is ready to do his family proud once more. Bidding to become a multiple world champion, the one and only ace in the pack, Judd Trump. And now to the greatest player in history. Over a 30-year glittering career, he has achieved what many said was impossible. Here he comes, the ultimate champion, bidding to make it a magnificent 7 here at the Crucible. The Rocket, Ronnie O'Sullivan.
So we're underway in this 4-part drama, a best of 35 frames match over 2 days, and overseeing part 1, the first 8 frames this afternoon. It's hello to the 1997 world champ Ken Doherty and a man who famously won it in '85, Mr. Dennis Taylor. What an occasion, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, Hazel. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, what an occasion, Hazel. Standing ovation again for both players. The traditional photograph should be taken with that magnificent trophy. And Judd looked very relaxed. He did backstage. Unbelievable semi-final. Judd said he never witnessed an experience like it with the crowd. So it's going to be fabulous, Ken.
Dennis, what an ovation for both players.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Really
the first frame.
Can't wait for this best of 35. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break off.
Ronnie O'Sullivan to
occasion.
So Ronnie gets it underway with a pretty good breakoff shot. Look where he's left the cue ball. Tight on the cushion. So evenly matched these. He had an amazing run against Ronnie, did Judd. 2018, 19 and 20 in the Northern Ireland Open. In the final, he won all 3 finals, 9 frames to 7. They've only played once here at the Crucible. In the semi-final, 2013, Ronnie won that. 17-11, so it's just going to be a fascinating final.
Yeah, the 10 finals they played, Judd has won 7 of them, which is an unbelievable record against Ronnie O'Sullivan. Not many players in the world can boast that, so it's very close between both players though. Both have had different paths to the final. Judd, of course, had that epic semi-final against Mark Williams. It'd be interesting then to see how much it has taken out of him, if anything.
Well, that's a good start.
Beautiful pot and to hold for the blue. And that's a good confidence booster, because that was where he was struggling, I thought, yesterday against Mark Williams. His long ball game wasn't there.
I think that's going to be key to this final. If Judd starts knocking the long ones in, he's going to take some stopping, because he's won some of his matches with, he's now developed a very good, what we call B game. Doesn't have to be knocking everything in. He can play a good tactical game as well, but if he starts knocking this type of shot in.
7.
I was just about to say the black had been knocked off its spot and was sort of out of play. Look where he left the cue ball there to get it back on its spot, but there's only 1 red available, so it's not a good chance just yet, but I just hope that both these players play to the top of their form and we've got a classic.
Yeah, try and get on this red into the right centre pocket, you would feel. And that looks pretty good. He'll get on the blue here, top side of the blue. So imperative that he leaves a nice angle when putting this red, that he can split the pack from the blue.
14.
One of the greatest protagonists in the game for this particular shot coming up. Was that rolled off a little bit? Oh, just about.
15.
Now watch the cue ball here. He's got to hit the pink full ball. And as long as he's just got to be careful that he doesn't knock a red in here, because you need a little bit of luck with this, but pink full in the face. Now how's your luck? I'm not quite sure what he's on a red into the left corner.
20.
It doesn't look like it.
Yeah, he's a bit unfortunate there. You could play that shot another 10 times and you'd finish on something. As it is, there's nothing available. That red up near the yellow is no use. Awkward striking.
Judd Trump, 20.
That red that I mentioned causing the problem here. Nothing much either player can do. If you could get the cue ball up into the left corner, to the left of the yellow, you could get it safe. Mind you, this is not as awkward a cueing now for that red. The pink's not in the way.
Switch your phones off, please, or put them at least on silent. Thank you.
That gets the frame back to normal now.
Ronnie's come around to have a look at a potting angle. Yeah, it was very difficult to avoid the black there when taking on that red. So another chance for Judd Trump, but black has gone safe, as you can see, so not ideal here. And he's not got a great angle on that red to try and get up for the blue.
Do you know, I'm just wondering if he can screw back and just flick that black out. No. It looked as if he screwed straight back, but he may just catch the red and not the black, so very little available here.
Could he screw back for the black and maybe put it into the right centre pocket? Maybe available. He had a look at the pink there as well. As you can see, pretty straight in this red. Oh, well, what a shot he's played. Well, the whole body went into that one, but have a look at this. How did he get it to avoid those reds? That was quite incredible, that shot.
From almost a straight pot, he somehow got the cue ball up on the blue.
Six.
Oh, an unexpected miss there, but it's
Trump
gone
6.
reasonably safe. Once you put them on the near jaw, they won't go in these tight corner pockets. Back looking at his tip again. You would have thought in the practice room he could have solved that. He's got a little bit of very fine sandpaper with him that maybe used just to, it's a little fibre that must keep coming out of the side of the tip.
Played that pretty nicely indeed. Is he on this red into this bottom right corner pocket? No, I don't think so. Just play a containing safety shot, you would feel.
That was so close to the black. Just a slightly awkward frame at the moment with the pink and black as they are. I think this next shot will bring the pink into play. I must admit well, over the last couple of seasons, very impressed with Judd Trump's tactical side of the game. His safety plays become very strong indeed.
Yeah, and particularly that was in evidence throughout this championship. He's had to rely on that. Against Anthony McGill, yeah, really tough match. Came through 13-11. He was 8-5 down. Should have been 9-5 down to Stuart Bingham, and then won 8 frames in a row. And then that, well, that epic semi-final against Mark Williams. How he had to dig so deep to win the last couple. And Ronnie O'Sullivan, on the other hand, Tennessee hasn't really been tested at all. He's played so well and breezed through. So that may be a factor over this 35 frame final.
Now that brings the black back into play, so all of a sudden the first mistake could be costly. Looking at the 3 balls to see if there's a possible plant on. Now let's see. No, I think if he hits the first one, it'll squeeze it away from the pocket. Coming right.
He wants to take it on, doesn't he?
You see, because they're so close together, you'd have to be directly behind it with that red not in the way to make the plant. The fact that there's another red going to make contact with the plant, it would squeeze it away from the pocket, but let's see what Judd thinks.
Wow, reds are going to go everywhere here. This is very dangerous. Oh, what a shot.
Yeah, incredible. Not only the plant, but watch the white. It stopped and then suddenly spun back. The cue power is immense.
Well, even to take that shot on in the final, knowing full well that reds would have been careering everywhere over the table. Nice shot with the rest.
Four.
He is such a shot maker, isn't he, Dennis? He's so entertaining.
That's why everybody loves to watch this man playing.
5.
As I mentioned, the pink and black were brought out into play, and this is an excellent opportunity now to take the opening frame.
The problem about taking the black here, though, it'll go back on its spot, but it's going to be tied up again. But he's still got plenty of reds in the open, so he'll have to concentrate on pink and blue.
12.
For now. This was a good start for Judd Trump.
$19. $20.
Yeah, all those reds all in the open below the pink. May take this red into the right center after this pink. It's just a matter of keeping good control of the cue ball here.
26. $27. 33.
I can almost hear a pin drop.
Oh, just this straightforward red to clinch this opening frame.
40.
Ronnie hasn't had a
48.
ball to go at in this opening frame.
49.
Just hasn't had a chance.
$56.
It's interesting, we had a little chat with
57.
Jack Lisowski, one of Judd's best mates, and Oliver Lyons, another best friend, are here. He's got a nice team around him, brother Jack, and it was interesting, he said they were out for dinner and weren't saying very much,
64.
but he does all his talking on the snooker table, this fella.
A little bit of naughty snooker. What a shot.
55.
Well, if he gets on this red into the corner pocket, we could still have a century break.
72.
No century break, but he won't be too concerned about that. What a start for Judd Trump. He looks in fine form and he takes this opening frame and leads 1-0.
Confident start from Judd Trump, the younger man here, and Steve, opening exchanges. Analyse that.
Nice to settle down quickly. Even if it wasn't in one visit, he looked very assured around the table and very comfortable. As we said earlier, I mean, you do expect that sort of like, the players are in the zone, so to speak, but even so, it's still nice to get off of that first frame.
Absolutely, and some of the shot making that we know this guy is capable of producing, this is an early warning. It's there today. Yeah, I think there's only a couple of players in the game that can actually intimidate Ronnie, and there's one player in the game who can play these shots, and it's Judd Trump. No one else, he plays shots that no one else can play, and I'm including Sullivan. Cue power there was just phenomenal. And this plan, okay, lots of other players would have seen this shot, but to have the power to play it, to screw the cue ball back to bulk, he's a very intimidating player to play against, and and I think Ronnie knows that. So that's why I think this first session is going to be pivotal to this final. Yeah, I think even though it shouldn't really come into the equation, Ronnie's had for many, many years the ability to wow the crowd and have it all his own way in that department. But Judd can do it, and sometimes even more astonishingly, and that's a different dynamic to sort of something that's Ronnie's used to. So if Judd plays his game, then he can get Ronnie on the back foot in that weird psychological department. Okay, back we go. Fascinating start.
Yes, indeed. Fascinating start and fascinating thoughts from both lads in the studio there with Hazel, Stephen Hendry and Steve Davis. It's quite an interesting one. Steve says there about Judd Trump that he, normally Ronnie is the entertainer, whoever he plays, but Judd Trump is able to entertain just as much and intimidate players just as much as Ronnie is.
I think that's the fascination about this final. This is the first chance that Ronnie's had. That double kiss there left the red on. Didn't get close to the pot. It wasn't an easy pot. Well, let's see how Ronnie feels now in this second frame.
pink being away from the spot.
8.
May go up for blue here. Could come back for the black as well, but blue might be a better option.
9.
Judd Trump split on the pack in the previous frame, didn't work out. Didn't maybe hit it with enough power than as usual, but Ronnie will try and do that here. Now, how's your luck? You always need a little bit of luck when you split the pack, and that's pretty good.
14.
He'll come around, have a look as we see this shot again. Does the black pot into the bottom right corner pocket? That red may have come up and blocked its pad. Yes, it has, so can't get on the black there.
Wow, that's quite a stretch there. So he's taking an alternate red. And he didn't get enough side on that. He wanted right-hand side to miss that cannon and go up for the blue. And that was one of the reasons he wanted to take the other red. It was better to get onto the blue. But he needed much more side on that. Oh, this is a difficult pink. It's a terrific pot, but I'm not sure if he's left anything easy here. Let's have a look. It's a bit of a cutback, this. Or as he spotted a potential plant, he had a look at it, but it's the difficult cutback. You finish on one of the balk colours.
22.
And all of a sudden, with one good positional shot, he's got an excellent opportunity here.
Yeah, he'd love to get on there. That red that's just blocking the path of the black into the right corner. That's what he'd like to get on, but he has a couple of options. A couple of loose reds that he can go on here. Yeah, he'll take this red and get the black into the other corner, and then maybe get the black open into both corners in a couple of shots' time. It's such a fast snooker brain, Ronnie O'Sullivan. Always wants to get that black open as quickly as possible. He's going to have to stretch for this, maybe get the extension.
Thank you. 26.
Judd made a terrific 72 break to clinch the opening frame. He had 2 chances to win that opening frame. This is Ronnie's
34.
first chance. Can he win the frame with 1 visit? This next shot will tell. He's just brought, oh, where's the red? It's okay. But it hasn't opened up. It's only opened up a couple of reds,
41.
but still a very good opportunity here.
42.
Yeah, just like the signal of intent from both players already in this final. Judd Trump with that risky plant in the first, Ronnie with that wonderful pink into the middle. I'm not going to be holding back these two. This is a good response so far. Still a little bit to do, work to do.
49. 50.
Was hoping to get on the pink into the left centre there, but that red has blocked it, so he's on a little more of a trickier black here. But he's still got the red over the left centre that he can hold for if he wishes. Red above the black pots as well. Nicely played.
57.
You could see those two reds between the pink and black are available, so no need to play any cannons. And not that many pots away from securing this
63.
second frame.
$64.
Just left himself a little straight on the black, as you can see. And they're all blocking each other, so. Can he get through to the one next to the
71.
pink? Just about. And that's the second frame secured now. It's finished a little awkward, but he'd love to make a century break.
79.
As long as you score enough to win the frame. Well, he might get a century after that cutback.
80.
This has been a wonderful break. Great response from Ronnie. Didn't get any chance in the first frame, but he certainly looks as sharp as he has done throughout this championship. Didn't want that kiss on the green, so he's going to need a good pot on this red to keep the break going.
84.
Looks very focused indeed. Beautiful.
85.
He knows how much Crucible crowd love a century.
92.
Do you think
93.
Ronnie loves a century? He's made 1,166 of them.
98. 99.
Ooh, bit of a kick on that. Black for the first century of the final. And in it goes. And what a response from Ronnie O'Sullivan. Make that 1,167 centuries.
106.
What a
108.
start to the final from both players.
111. 115.
Could he possibly cannon the pink on?
Oh, that's careless, Dennis, wasn't it? Get in. No, unlucky. But what a break from Ronnie O'Sullivan, the six-time champion. 120. And what a final we have on our hands. It's 1-all.
Do you think he's up for this? A little bit of sophistication in that answer to Judd Trump, wasn't there?
Yeah, I mean, when I was talking before, there's shots that Judd can play that no one else can. As far as Ronnie O'Sullivan's concerned, no one can control the cue ball like he can. This shot here, this is a very thin cut to the left corner. And he just, it's almost a deceleration on the going through the cue ball. And that's, it might not look anything, but to hold for a bulk colour, that was actually a beautiful shot. But yeah, I mean, no one has ever or will ever be able to control the cue ball like he does. It's phenomenal.
It's been a great start, actually, because it's been right there in those opening two frames is the compare and contrast between the two styles, isn't it? Right, right in front of us.
How brilliant of Ronnie O'Sullivan there. It's wonderful. It's just like, I think the crowd are going to be in for a treat here. It's rare that you get two players playing great at the same time. Obviously, you know, early days, anything could happen. But when it does happen, it's a thing of beauty. And it then becomes, who is the most relentless? Where are the cracks going to come from? Just one mistake per session?
Well, that is the 13th century of the championship from Ronnie O'Sullivan, and we know that Mark Williams has made 16 to equal Stephen's record from 2004.
You say another record's going.
I'm just saying.
Have you got any records left?
Well, the one he can't be the youngest world champion. Even Ronnie can't do that.
He's playing like Benjamin Button here.
Let's go back, shall we?
Thanks, Ronnie. Thank you. The third frame, Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
What a fabulous trio in the studio there. Ronnie's first break-off shot was excellent. Hasn't got the cue ball tight on the cushion, but still a pretty good break-off. He'll probably knock this in now. Good cue ball though. Come up a little bit short. The brown's not quite hampering Ronnie here.
Yeah, a little bit of a tester here for Ronnie O'Sullivan. He's got to screw the cue ball back top side of the blue, but there you see it, it's not ideal. Doesn't like it. Oh, my goodness. What a shot that is.
To deliver the cue with the brown so close to the cue ball there and to knock that in, that was some shot. Needs to pull up, otherwise he's in no man's land.
6.
I don't think he can get through, no way through there, so there's only a safety shot available. That will annoy Ronnie a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure where he came. Down this right-hand side, could have gone in there the ball. My goodness. Another one. A 3-ball plant.
7.
I'm sure he'll be taking this brown or yellow one into the right centre. It's the brown. Red is waiting. Another wonderful pot.
11.
After this red, nicely on the black.
12.
Prime position once again.
He's just come up a little bit short here, so he's got to be careful with the cue
9.
ball now. Just having a little look at the pack to see what might happen to the white. Yeah, that was. Oh, was he on a straight pink? Surely not. He jumped over the reds there, but that was after he made the putt. That's not a foul. Used to be. But if he drops straight on the pink, and if he knocks this in. And it's there. And there's a couple of things that have happened. That plant.
26.
Something just.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what he said to the referee.
Stand still.
Oh,
Don't move. When running on the shot this way, please. Scary, he knows.
There's someone in his line of sight up at the top of the stairs. Yeah, I mean, the plant
27.
Was incredible. It didn't look as if he had a look at the plant, but where he left the white, he had quite a bit of safety in mind. But then the brown he knocked in.
Yeah, it's almost like he's trying to dictate the pace of this final already. Stamp his authority straight away. Average shot time, 19 seconds.
31.
Short. He's okay. Be disappointed to be short of the blue, but this red that's close to the bottom right corner pocket is not too bad for him. He's got to play this with a lot of drag, a lot of bottom on the cue ball just to slow the pace up. Well, he's gone the other way. He's gone for the black into the same pocket, but still played it beautifully.
Sure.
Just spotted something on the cue ball.
$44. 45.
It really is majestic to watch. Ronnie O'Sullivan. Boys were commenting on it about his cue ball control.
52.
Just sublime.
$53.
The last frame lasted just over 10 minutes. The first frame, even though there was some tactical
60.
play, was just over 17 minutes. I'm going to get some very quick frames in this final.
61.
Just the black to leave Judd needing a snooker.
$68.
If he can get through to this red, maybe he can't. Don't know if he can see enough of it to take it up into the corner if he can't get it to the middle. Yeah, it's the corner by the looks of things. Not this time, but
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 68.
Judd will come back to the table. It's just the one snooker needed, so far from over this frame just yet. No attempt at the pot there. But Ronnie's got to be a little bit careful, because if Judd can get 4 reds, 4 high-valued colours, there's a couple of reds near the pink. If he got that far, it'd be easy to get the snooker that's required. He can't see enough of that red over the middle pocket. Now that will be the end. He had to pot that to give himself any sort of chance.
One.
Well, the key shot in this frame was that amazing plant, if he did play it. But it was incredible, really, the distance between the reds. This was the plant that didn't look on.
3.
Sure, well, look where the white was, so I think he was playing a bit of safety, but the plant was a bonus, so Judd stays in his seat. I think, no, he's coming back. The referee had a look over, but Judd has decided that he should knock a few in, simply because that red's next to the pink. So if he can get 2 more reds with colours and then lay quite a difficult snooker.
Yeah, 59 on, 71 behind, but
Trump 1.
He could have conceded there, but it's etiquette not to concede when your opponent's at the table. It's his turn.
Six. 7. Ronnie O'Sullivan 7.
And this time, Judd just nods to the referee. That was a fascinating third frame. There's so much happened in that frame, but it's Ronnie O'Sullivan with the aid of that 68 break who takes it and leads by 2 frames to 1.
He's in the ascendancy and he's got his foot on the pedal here. Stephen, what do you feel would be in Ronnie's mind as a plan or even an early ambition for this first part of the session?
Whether he actually physically plans it or not, every match he's played in this championship, he's won the first session comfortably. And if that trend continues, I think if he wins this first session, say he wins it 6-2, I think it goes a long way towards him winning this final. But you can't obviously physically decide, OK, I'm going to win 6-2. But I used to always think, you know, you get off to the good start. It's a 2-day final. You get that good start, and you can break the back of the match on the first day.
Did you have a game plan when you were going out there in finals, Steve?
No, just to try and enjoy and relax into the match, and I think that's something that Ronnie O'Sullivan does so well. Both these players, as we've said before, can quite capable of stealing and pulling the rub rug from under their opponent's feet, and exactly what Ronnie's done here after the first frame. It's just great to watch him around the table. But as we mentioned earlier as well, Judd has had sort of default a rear guard action in this tournament already, so he won't be panicking even if he does go behind, because 4 sessions of graft is what's ahead.
Yeah, came back obviously 70 behind, 4 reds on the table. There was an interesting debate between you two. You would have chased it, Stephen?
No. No, get on with the next frame.
Thought you might say that, yeah. Steve, you definitely would. OK, back we go. This is the last before the interval.
Yes, thanks, Hazel. So Judd Trump breaks off in this 4th frame. Last one before the mid-session interval. Average frame time, just under 14 minutes.
Thanks, Ronnie. Thank you, Ronnie. Yeah, I've seen the situation. I said, are you happy I can see the red?
Just asking the referee, is he happy that he can see that red?
I've seen the situation.
Do you think I can see the red? Judd, do you want to have a little look at that? Because I don't want to...
It's your...
Just have a little look and see the red.
It's your shot.
I don't know why Ronnie's saying he's saying that. Like I can just about see a bit of the red, but the referee is well aware of that. And I suppose Ronnie was trying to help him there, but he kept saying to Ronnie, "I see the situation."
Yeah. He can see the right edge of this red. He's only asking the referee to have a good look at it in case he misses it, and he knows exactly where to put the cue ball back should he miss this red here. Yeah.
But you know, it's one of those. It's well, Judd, now that it's caught the jaw of the middle pocket. Oh well, he can't get through to that red. But yeah, it's one of those very difficult situations to get the white back in the identical position. And I think that's what Ronnie was saying to the referee. And you know, it is one of those. You know, because there was very, very little available. It's one of those, Ken. It's almost impossible, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, they do have the advantage of of course, the telestrator and the assistant referee.
Have a look, please, Ronnie.
But I think that's pretty good. He can still, it's more or less in the same position. He can just about see the right. No, Ronnie's not happy.
Marteel, can you bring it up, please?
Why doesn't Ronnie just go into the side of the pack and then he wouldn't have any problems?
3/4 of a ball towards me, please.
Towards you?
Yeah. 3/4 of a ball.
3/4?
Yeah. No. Oh, sorry, what's the other? 3/4 towards you, sorry.
That's what I was thinking.
Sorry.
It was impossible.
Just take your heads off.
See, Ronnie could just come off the left side cushion and just nestle into the pack and everything would be safe.
The line seems all right, so that can only be fractions.
Okay. To me or to the yellow?
Bit back towards me. Yeah, the line is very good, but yeah.
Let's have a look down the line now and let's see how much of the red he can see. It's pretty good. Let's see if Ronnie agrees or not.
Look.
I think it may be slightly to the right, but
a mil this way? A fraction?
You see, if I was Ronnie, Ken, I would just come off the left side cushion and nestle into the pack and...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
Moved it this way. Also, can we double check?
You can, yeah.
Yeah, fine.
Ronnie's saying he still can't see it, but I don't know. I think it has to go. I think he's right. I think it has to go a little bit towards Judd, a slight fraction towards Judd.
See, but the line here also minus. Sorry, Marteel?
Fraction towards this way, just a tiny way, but it's
a fraction.
Yeah, it's.
It's a fraction.
Yeah, a slight fraction to the right as we look towards Judd, and then maybe you can see the outside of it.
No, I can't see Me and Judd agree that I can hit that red, and I literally can't hit it.
Is the position correct, Mart?
I'm not going to play the shot.
No, no.
It's one of those, it's almost impossible to get it absolutely right, but...
Oh, you can.
It is right, yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Well, the referee says it's right.
Yeah, but you can still flick the red on the left-hand side.
On the monitor...
No, no. According to the picture, according to my marker, it's bang on. Judd, have a double look. Have a...
See,
I mean, for me, this is what I saw before you played the first
Just
shot.
play the other shot and then it'll resolve the situation.
I mean, I'm not...
I've moved it already to the left.
I'm not going to play the shot.
Right, so you agree to the left? Yeah. Moved it to the left, like a fraction. Yeah? Perfect?
Wouldn't it be amazing if he gets down and plays a different shot?
Judd, thank you.
Hope he doesn't go in off after this.
Quiet down now, please. Well, you agreed before.
No, I literally can't see it.
The cue ball didn't move now, so
No,
you
but
agreed
I
like...
can't see it.
Yeah.
So what do you want me to do? Can I play a different shot?
No, I'm not saying
No,
that.
I'm happy to do it if you're...
I'm not saying that.
can't
But according
see
to my marker,
Judd, do you wanna have another
Judd
look?
is all right.
Honestly.
You can see the red. Thank you. Mars.
Do you want to take the cue ball off and we do it properly again?
I already moved it to the left. It's a fraction.
Well, that's where it was. It's...
Okay.
Anyway, we're back to normal. Just be able to bridge over the bunch and try and get the white back up to the safety area. Oh, it looks as if he's just leaving it up this end of the table. And now with that red going up the other end of the table, well, Judd might be able to come off the cushion and kick that red back up. I was never sure where the red was going to finish playing it that way, and it's a chance of a long pot for Ronnie. Oh, that red looks as if it pots at the back and to the right of the pack, so Yeah, clearly does.
One.
And he can get on that red. It's near the yellow and brown. Got to be pretty precise though.
Yeah, the fact that the yellow's off its spot, it just makes this positional shot a lot more difficult. Looks to be too hard, is it? Yeah.
Six. Judd Trump, 6.
Should be a touching ball, is it? No, it's very close to. Not a touching ball, so Ronnie will just play off the pack. Maybe leave the cue ball just here on the top cushion behind the black spot.
Yeah, that's the problem now. There's no black on its spot to try and get the snooker behind.
Well, is he gonna take this red on up into the yellow pocket? It'd be risky. He's having a look at it. No, he's refusing it. Just going to play a safety shot. Leave that cue ball somewhere near the left middle pocket, as long as he covers the red in bulk.
There's not a lot the players can do about this with that red up the other end of the table. Be interesting to see if they have a glance at each other. Yeah, back to normal. Oh. That's an attacking safety shot, and there's a red sprung out of the pack, a long way short with the cue ball. But the reds have spread, but the pink and black are awkward. So not an easy positional shot.
Yeah, if he takes this red down the bottom left-hand corner pocket, there's a lot of traffic that he's got to negotiate through to get on a blue or ball colour here. It's no good.
One.
Yeah, will he take this blue one? I'm sure he will. Red waiting over the middle. This red just below the black into the right corner pocket, but there's a bit of pressure on this.
What a fabulous pressure pot that was.
Seven.
Still got quite a bit to do before we can get the pink or black into play.
That blue just tells you quite a bit about how Ronnie is
12.
feeling. Totally confident, composed. completely up for this. This red that's just below the black into this bottom right corner pocket, he'd love to take that as soon as possible and try and get the black back on its spot, because the black is not available. And that's what he'd like to do.
Still got a few choices of reds. Put the white in a position there where he left himself on a couple of pots. Should be able to get himself back up onto the blue off this red. It's finished a bit straight, so now he'll have to play for the red that's closest to the corner pocket. That's where he wants the cue ball, just where he's cueing now, just on that line. And then he might be able to. The other alternative is to screw back and leave that red, which is what he prefers.
24.
He's got it. Putting this red now. Avoid those two reds just above the black spot to the right. A little bit closer to this left-hand, right-hand side cushion that he would have liked. Now has the pace. A little bit too much.
25.
He's on the green. Well, again, not straightforward. This cue ball has got to travel a good distance for his next red.
He was fully stretched there. How's your luck, Ronnie?
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 25.
Don't think he's covered the red, but he was fully stretched there, and he had to power the green in. Wow. He's having to bend it by the looks of things, so maybe he's had a bit of a result there. See, if he bends it gently, he's not on a colour. You can pot the red, but where's the white going to go? And to bend it and to get a bit of stun on it to get up for the blue would be excellent. Which he's done again with that power that he has. I mean, that was an exceptional shot there. To not only bend it, but to get the white up the correct side of the blue.
Yeah, wonderful shot on all the right-hand side. Just managed to get top side of the blue. Taking this red will be handy because that will, in turn, open up the pink into the right centre and the left corner.
Seven.
So even though it's early days in this match, Judd Trump want to be taking these opportunities. He's got to punish Ronnie when he gets his chance.
13.
You can obviously see that Ronnie is in good form. He's going to win frames in one visit. He's got to do the same.
14.
It was a nice little shot in the pink, just dislodged those two reds together and
20.
brought them into open play.
This time Judd's finished straight on the blue, but there's a red to the right of the pink, which will still be available. I think he'd like to come back a little bit further there and just leave a straight pot stop for the pink.
26.
It's not as straightforward now, especially if he has to cannon into the pink, but he's got so much cue power. And the
27.
cannon has gone wrong. It was just the position that he left himself when he rolled the blue, and he was then relying on the perfect cannon on the pink, which, well, listen, the pink still cuts in, but he's running away from the reds. What an effort this is, by the way. That is one of the best positional shots you could possibly see.
33.
Wow.
We did say he was a shot maker, and that was certainly one of them.
$34.
Now it's that red. He's looking anxiously to see if this red pots into the bottom right corner pocket.
I was just thinking, Ken, I don't think there's another player in the game would have attempted that cut back on the pink and to get in and out of the ball, come back up for those reds.
No.
39.
This is a good response, and this is what, as I said, this is what he has to do. He can't let Ronnie dictate and try and bully him. He's got to let him know that if he gets a chance, he's got to win frames in one visit too, and that will put a little bit of more
45.
pressure on Ronnie, a little bit more thought into the way he plays. And this is good stuff. He's getting very close to winning this frame.
Well, Ronnie had a chance, and he did really stretch for the green. He was a bit unlucky not to finish on the blue. Snooker's required, but this is it. But you couldn't quite see there, but he was fully stretched and had to force it.
Trump, 52.
Cleared that with his right hand. That's only one snooker that's needed, so is that going to cost him?
Oh, that's a mistake.
One.
Well, 37 behind before he came to the table, so he needs pink. Blue is no good because 4-point snooker, then he could only tie, so he needs the pink. position on the green. It was not bad for snookers. Black. Okay, not on a spot, but still a good target. Oh, he hasn't played this too good. It may have left the yellow on. That's a poor shot from Ronnie. Really need that yellow on the ball cushion behind the green. So second chance for Judd Trump.
Look, I tell you what, he could be in big trouble because he can get tight in behind the brown. How did that yellow not go in? But if he gets tight up behind the brown, it could be a very difficult snooker to escape from.
Shake of the head from Judd Trump as he came to the table. This is of his own doing, missing that red, playing it right-handed. You cannot take your concentration off this game for 1 second, and particularly against Ronnie O'Sullivan. This is a tough hit, Dennis.
Yeah, because he's got the white close to the brown, he's cut off the escape route off the one cushion there. He's got to go 2 cushions, and well, that's. He's going right-handed again, but he's got to hit the ball cushion, the side cushion.
Yeah, he's got to be careful he doesn't leave this green into the right centre pocket either. If he misses it, he's missed it, is he? Yeah. Now, if it's a free ball, he could be in trouble even more. Foul. That cue ball needs to go. It's going to be a free ball.
Ronnie O'Sullivan 4. And a free ball.
Wow. Judd Trump thought he'd be at the mid-session interval now, and he just dollied that red with his right hand, as Ken mentioned, and missed it. And he's still got quite a bit to do here, Ronnie, but he thought he'd be in his dressing room, so that's the first part, which is not perfect by any means.
3.
No, didn't get any left-hand spin on the ball to get it down below the green. He's got to be careful here, as long as he gets the green safe.
Ronnie O'Sullivan 3.
Now, is he going to be tempted, or is he going to just send the green back up the table somewhere near where the cue ball is? Back up the table it is. I know it's the best of 35, but from a psychological point of view, this is quite an important frame. If Judd was to lose this, you know, it would give him an awful lot to think about, because it should be 2 each. Surely not. No. Now this is tough.
This is extremely tough. How do you avoid the double kiss here? If he tries to play the green off the ball cushion back down towards this black and pink, the double kiss is on with the cue ball. And this is very, very tricky.
Yeah, and to play the green on the left-hand side and just flick it over onto the middle of the ball cushion is so difficult as well. And if he doesn't get that right, he could career into the brown. So that's why he's having to give this quite a bit of thought.
He may even take this on, Dennis, and hit it with a lot of pace into the jaws of the pocket. If he misses it, he's just trying to trust a little bit of luck. He only needs the green. take the pot on. If it gets close, it'll rattle in the jaws of the pot. Could go anywhere, but I can't see another shot here.
Well, he's thought long and hard, and what's his choice?
Maybe he's going to play ball cushion first with the cue ball. Yeah. Well,
It was a good effort, but it's too short a pace.
well, he's going to leave Ronnie O'Sullivan a half chance here.
Always better to miss it on the thin side. This frame coming up to 31 minutes. Terrific match play snooker in this frame. Just a bit short of pace on that.
Yeah, he's trying to hide the cue ball behind the black, but
Where's the white going though? The green's in, and so is the white. He was just playing a safety shot. Fluked the green and seen the white disappear. Just have a look at this here. He just caught it a bit on the thick side. And amazingly potted both balls. These middle pockets are so tight, and can you believe it? We could have a respotted black.
well, I can't believe he's missed that, Dennis. This looks a bit pacey, needs to slow up.
3.
A bit pacey indeed, he's going to have to get the extension. Extended rest maybe. Very tense in this fourth frame, and what a huge frame it could prove to be.
Still got a bit to do with the thin blue to get nicely on the pink.
Yeah, he's got to avoid the black as well on the way back up. He's played it nicely. Perfect. I can just come off left-hand side cushion, get the cue ball almost where it is now. Pink and black for a respot.
18.
Well, he's left it a little bit more of an angle than probably could have. He could have got closer to this black.
I think Judd's in a little bit of shock there because missing the red with the right hand. Okay, it's history now, but you want to win the toss. Referee just going over to Judd.
It's tails. Ronnie, you won the toss.
Ronnie's won the toss, so he'll put Judd in.
Well, he's going to feel a lot more nervous than Ronnie O'Sullivan, that's for sure. Couple of chances. to win this frame. It's a massive frame to win. And he's played it well. He's played that very well indeed.
There's a chance of Ronnie to get this black all the way around the angles and onto the bulk cushion. He played it. If he didn't get it in the pocket, it was safe, but it went straight in the middle pocket. How did Judd Trump lose that frame? As we go to the mid-session interval, Ronnie O'Sullivan somehow is leading 3-1.
Well, it's all happening here. First, psychological dent in the hopes of Judd Trump. And guys, it was actually of his own making in some respects with those two major errors from Judd in that frame, Steve.
Yeah, looked for all the world like he was over the line and just had this simple little red, OK, right-handed. But, you know, he's not a terrible player right-handed and maybe just took it for granted. But it wobbled and stayed out. And then all of a sudden you feared the worst, that Ronnie was going to get back in it. But not in one visit.
Yeah, a weak way to play the red, actually. Why would they not just stun it in? But this is the first sign of weakness. Steve mentioned earlier about in this, you know, it's almost like a boxing fight where you don't want to be the one to show the first sign of frailty. Exactly. And Judd did there, because ball in hand. I know these tables, they're not easy, those shots, because there's hardly any of the pocket pointing out, but that would hurt more than the red. But the red he played very tentatively as well.
But the double from Ronnie is going to hurt even more, you've got to say, isn't it? Just the whack as he goes back to the dressing room.
Whilst Judd did get that black to the side cushion, if you're playing the side-to-side shot, you want the white ball to just be a little bit higher than the black. And that gave Ronnie an easy safety shot option with that in right. Wonderful it went in. He'll be delighted with that and Judd will be distraught. But even though that side-to-side safety has now become the modern-day way, it still has to be hit properly to really put your opponent in trouble.
Well, it's been very, very eventful, hasn't it? And I know that Sean and Jack are in the practice room. It's demonstration time with you. Are you going to demo the replacement of the ball, guys, or something more interesting?
Well, we're certainly not going to show that cocked hat double, Hazel, I can assure you. We have picked out a couple of shots from earlier on in the play. We've got this one here first from Judd Trump. You can see here, this was an amazing shot. If I put this straight line on the table, through the red and through the cue ball, he's almost bang straight on that red. Now, somehow, he finds a way to bend the cue ball around these two reds that are in the way. I put my bendy line on. He arcs the cue ball around there into that area for the blue. And it's just unbelievable cuemanship, craftsmanship. And just watch here, as I get the line on here, watch his foot as he plays this shot. It's just so much body movement in the shot to arc the cue ball around those reds as I let the footage go. Watch his body, watch his foot and the cue ball at the same time. Get in there. The Sevi of snooker. Now, I'm going to hand over to my handsome assistant, Jack Lazowski. Jack, when we look at a shot like this, how do we get round the reds? How did he move his body? How did he get such action off the cue ball?
Well, I'm not really that sure, to be honest, because looking at it here, it's a lot harder than he sort of made it look. So, to start with, though, he's putting the red into this side of the pocket, which makes it kind of missable. He's hitting with right-hand side.
Yeah, I think
I'd say so. He's sort of like stunning the white and it's spinning and
if we could see the cue ball spinning, yeah, it would be doing that, wouldn't it? All the way up the table.
Right. Let me have a go.
Yeah, let's see one.
OK, disclaimer. Not my cue.
It's my cue.
Not my cue, and I haven't played for about 5 days.
I'm going to watch your foot to check the foot movement.
OK, I'm going to give this everything, yeah?
Give it everything.
Ready? Oh. OK, a bit low on the white there.
Excellent. Right, we'll move on to shot 2. Here we go with shot 2. I'm going to move the black. We've already preloaded the plant. Here, right, you can see the plant. The two reds, as I'm circling, are already in play. They're going to take care of themselves. The unbelievable part of this shot was as the cue ball comes down to pot the red, it then arcs back on itself and comes straight back up the table for safety. Now, the plant is going to take care of itself, isn't it? We know that.
The plant's actually not the hard part of the shot. You sort of, as long as it's aligned into the pocket, that's pretty easy. You just got to make sure you hit nice and low on the white with a lot of power and get it spinning backwards.
Right, let's see it.
Oh, OK.
Well, I have to say, in rehearsal, that worked first time. Jack? It's been a pleasure working with you. See you next season.
See you guys later.
Welcome to the wonderful world of live television, Jack. But actually, the first effort was absolutely incredible, wasn't it? Is that a game you recognise, Stephen?
Well, I wouldn't let someone else use my cue to play that sort of shot. The work he got in the cue ball, the second one, calling all pockets.
Exactly, yeah, Steve.
Well, I'll tell you what, OK, so cloths are thinner these days. You can do more with the cue ball, even off a straight shot, but it's become obvious that having great cue power is of premium importance these days to get yourself out of trouble and to create shots that, back in a certain time of the game, weren't even achievable.
Yeah, absolutely. OK, well, you guys are next in there, so... Oh. We'd love to see it, wouldn't we? OK, when Ronnie O'Sullivan first came to the Crucible in 1993, this man in the studio, Stephen Hendry, was in the middle of his utter domination of the 1990s when he won 7 world titles in, what, a 9-year spell. And it was only when Ronnie reached his mid-20s that he first got over the line and won his first world title in 2001. Well, 21 years later, he needs one more for 7. Get it?
I don't really identify myself as a snooker player. It's more like a hobby, like a serious hobby. I have to look at this like I'm just doing it because I want to do it rather than I have to do it. That's the place I'm in with it, and it allows me to come and play. I can't do what most of the players do, which is invest all their time in just playing and talking about snooker. That's never worked for me, and even more so now. So I try and detach myself from it. Go out there, get involved, enjoy it, good, the bad, whatever it throws at you, take it on. It's got to be either me or Hendry. I can't see anybody else in the conversation. Everyone will say, well, he's got 7 world titles. I've only got 6.
For him, that's kind of the only thing that people can sort of ever question in his greatest of the game, because Stephen Hendry still does have that 1 world championship.
Not taking nothing away from Stephen Hendry, you got to be in the running when you talk about the greatest, but for me, Ronnie O'Sullivan's in a different league.
You never know you're going to get 6, you never know you're going to get 7. Sometimes you just have to just go into it, put your head down and just see where you end up. I always say, never sort of judge a person midway through his career. Let's do it at the end.
Best ever in my eyes, and I've always said it's just been a pleasure now to be sharing the table with the likes of him and Mark Williams for all these years.
Ronnie O'Sullivan wins the World Championship. He beats John Higgins.
This Crucible crowd give him a standing ovation. Six world titles for Rocket Ronnie O'Sullivan. Unbelievable.
It's a hard sport to get to grips with, you know. I've struggled with it for long enough, so to be able to just enjoy it is a great feeling. I think when you're younger, it's a bit different. You need to make your mark on the game. You're there to try and win as many titles as you can. But you tend to, it becomes less important, and it's just more about, you know what, great life, amazing, beautiful. I just want to die in a snooker club doing an exhibition. That's how I'll be happy. Just drop dead. Lovely. That's where just leave me there.
The fascinating thoughts and life of Ronnie O'Sullivan, and we've been watching and waiting for a possible equalling of your record, Stephen, for many years, and I wonder if you can empathise with Ronnie coming into this final, because you waited and watched and chased this man on 6 and then 7. How did you feel going into that final in '99, knowing that it was on the line?
I was able to block it out. I was able to not think about what the consequences of winning that one would be, breaking the record, actually. And I think Ronnie will be doing the same. I think when he's at the tail, he's not thinking about that at all. The time for thinking about that is after you've lifted the trophy. Then you've done it. Then it all sort of, wow, I've done it. I can't believe it. But when you're during this, I honestly think you won't be thinking about it at all.
But how much does it subconsciously or consciously drive your careers? You did the same thing, Steve. Did you know that this was the target, or was it always just in your mind?
For me, no. I don't think so. And you don't really know what your subconscious is doing, obviously. So I think it's just playing the game and just absolutely loving what you do. And I think Ronnie's done a very clever thing and a good thing by deflecting a lot of the tension that surrounds being the favourite by saying it's just a hobby. And it effectively sort of plays that part down, because it is a drain. It's a constant drain on trying to keep up your standard. So how best to do it for a long, long career is to go, oh, it's not as important. Even if it is, just somehow make it not as important. So therefore, I think he's done a very successful job in lengthening his career.
OK, well, it's all on the line over the next couple of days, and it's going to be a fascinating watch, isn't it, until tomorrow evening when the last of the sessions is due to finish. But what about the contender? What about the challenger, Judd Trump? Well, one of his great mates, we've just seen in the practice room there, is Jack Lazowski. They are tremendous friends, and I don't know what they talk about when they're not playing snooker, but with Jack on our TV team here, it was all business when the two met last night.
Oh, God, who's this? It's the champ. Yeah, I'll give you some skin, man. You right? Where have you come from? They brought me in last minute. I've got a new career path.
Oh, God.
Well, fantastic semi-final. Like, how are you feeling? How good does it feel?
I mean, the first emotion is just relief, really. I think just to get through a game like that with so much drama and what was going on, the way sort of I was miles in front and then going behind 16-15. I just tried to stay positive, but there was a lot of things I felt that were going against me, and a lot of bad run. I was playing some good shots and not landed on it and anything and stuff like that. But I mean, in the end, it kind of turned around. Even though he smashed the balls and fluked one in the last frame, I was fearing the worst again at that point, and he just started to miss a couple towards the end, and that kind of gave me the belief that I needed, even though I didn't finish it in one visit. Made a couple of doubles that don't really ever go in deciding frames, and I kind of just felt to myself that it was kind of, that's the kind of thing that happens if you stay patient and stay positive, then keep yourself in the game, and that kind of thing can turn around.
Class. I mean, for me, it was one of the best games I've ever seen. Williams looked better than he ever has. So I'm just thinking, these guys are getting older, him, Ronnie, Higgins. Like, how long do you think we can keep going? How long are they going to keep going?
I know a few of them like to play it down and say they were better back in 15, 20 years ago, but I think if you look at the facts and if you look at their scoring, then I think they might be telling little porcupines there. I think that they score much heavier than they ever have done. And I can remember when I first turned pro, and I think Mark Williams at the time was dropping down the rankings a little bit. I played Ronnie as well, and they weren't playing to that standard that they're playing today. I don't care what anyone says, and they keep improving. Their determination is on another level. They want it so badly, and I think you can just see that when they do miss balls, you can see the emotion coming out in those three players. So I think it just means so much to them. They're all competing with each other. They don't want to sort of be left behind, and they try and play it down now and again, but you can just see how much it means to all of them.
They're obviously called like Class of 92. Do you think they have something different on every other player you've sort of played against?
It's something that they've learned, that if they don't want to get left behind, they have to be so much determination and so much belief. I think having those three together just drags the other people up.
Yeah.
And kind of like what you see in tennis. I think it just raises the bar, and I think with some of the players sort of coming behind them nowadays, I think that's just pushed them to another level in scoring, and the rate that they're making century breaks nowadays is ridiculous. I think Mark equalled the record and he lost in the semi-finals, so he can't say that he was better back in the day, because he wasn't.
What do you reckon they got left though? 5 years? 10 years?
I honestly think they could have sort of 15 years left. I really do, because they're not getting worse.
No.
So until I see some kind of decline in their performance, I just don't see how they can get any worse. I think until you actually get quite old, it's like 60s or something like that, then they might start to struggle. But if they play with this kind of determination, dedication, and the ambition they all show, I think they're going to be at the top for 10 or 15 years yet.
Okay.
It's not good for us.
Are you surprised to be here? Because I know the season's been quite quiet for you. You were saying how you were looking forward to taking a break, and you know, even though you've won 2 tournaments, this 2 big tournaments so far this season. You haven't quite dominated like you have been in the 2 seasons before that.
I think before this event, I was looking forward just to getting away from snooker and even just taking some time off, because I wasn't feeling good in my own game, struggling with just sort of the confidence. I just didn't feel good in myself. I didn't feel like I have been feeling the last 3 years. I think this tournament has changed it around a little bit, and the beliefs come back, and I've been able to hit the ball really well under pressure and just feel like I can play my best. I feel like I was the most nervous in my first game, and every game I get, even though the games are tougher and there's more sort of expectation and the atmosphere sort of raises every game, I feel better in myself, and I feel like I'm going to take my chances now. So this isn't a feeling that I've really had. I think the last time was against John, when I really had this sort of self-belief in myself, and it's nice to just just be purely happy in yourself as well, and you're not get too down on yourself.
Playing without fear, isn't it? Because like as snooker players, we train so hard, and then there's like one chance to win the game, and if you lose the game, you get so down on yourself. Whereas if you've got a few wins behind you, it's not the end of the world, is it? If you lose, and just like you look like you're playing with that freedom again, you know?
Yeah, I think fear is kind of the important word. I think when you're able to accept what's going to happen and accept that you're trying your absolute best, and not have the worry of thinking, oh, what if I miss this? I think if you can get that out of your head and just purely concentrate and enjoy what you're doing and play like you are in practice, which I've been able to do, I've enjoyed it every moment, really. Even when Mark Williams was coming back at me, I felt like I was involved in an amazing game, and just having that positive mindset was able to help me over the line.
What inspires you? What's the goal now? You know, how do you want to be remembered as a player? What do you want to leave as your legacy?
So I think for me, it's just sort of someone that plays with a smile on their face. I want to play with freedom and enjoy it. I felt this is the first time in so long that I've done that, like play with a smile on my face, took it all in.
Yeah, because you were riling the crowd up. You know, I've never really ever seen anyone do that, but it was amazing. You know, this standing ovation, it was awesome. You obviously are definitely enjoying it now.
Yeah, I just felt, I actually did feel relaxed, as relaxed as you probably could feel in that kind of environment, and I just wanted to take everything in. I didn't want to be out there feeling nervous in myself. I just wanted it to be as loud as possible. I wanted to enjoy it as much as possible. There's been so many tournaments where I've kind of got over the line and said to my brother, whatever, I didn't enjoy that at all. It's just I'm so stressed out and trying not to miss that it's actually quite boring doing that. So I'd rather enjoy myself out there, go for my shots, show the crowd how happy I am to be there, and just fully enjoy myself out there. And I think it's a lot easier mentally to deal with the losses then if you know that you've tried your best and you've actually enjoyed yourself.
What are your plans for after? I mean, I heard you were Vegas, something about Las Vegas. Is that true? Got anything else?
Oh, you heard that, did you?
I heard someone told me.
Where did you hear that?
Just, I don't know, somebody said something.
Someone said something, did you? Yeah. No, I think... I think I'm screwed if I win this tournament, because I think I'll be paying for everything by the looks of it. So it's been a tough tournament, but yeah, I am looking forward to getting away at the end of the season. I'm sure that your wallet will be staying well and truly at home after this tournament. You won't have to worry about spending a penny, will you?
I'm not so. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just there to. I've been supporting you obviously the whole tournament. I was sweating today, so I mean, a little trip to Vegas and that, you know. Cheers for that, Judd. I really enjoyed that. Probably the first time I've ever interviewed you. Maybe it won't be the last, but all the best for the final. I'll be with you on every shot, man. Good luck.
Cheers, Jack. Thank you.
Viva Las Vegas and Viva Jack and Judd. Quite a double act, aren't they? And well done, Jack. Great interview, I must say. Really enjoyed it. And what was really clear from the two of them was the utter respect they have for their elders. What an amazing credit that they paid to Messrs Williams and Higgins and O'Sullivan. What do you think about their contention that they could go on for yet another 10 to 15 years?
It was interesting because when Judd came on the scene and was rising up the rankings, he kind of like, he didn't disrespect them, but he kind of thought, I'm the new guard. I'm taking over from you guys. And I think it's kind of almost like a shock to the system for him, that how good they're playing, and he's got to sort of start again to try and regain his dominance.
They're seriously concerned that they could go on till their 60s, aren't they?
Yeah, personally they can't, but they can carry on for a little bit longer. But it does depend on how strong the players bubbling up underneath them get as well, because that will magnify the failings that start to come in somewhere down the line. I truly think that Ronnie O'Sullivan can win major events into his 50s, but somewhere down the line you're going to start making unforced errors, and mentally you're just a little bit more jaded because of that. But even so, these three lads, these three players, they've been incredible, and they have been responsible for dragging the standard of snooker through the roof, and every young player in the game sort of owes them.
Yeah, OK, well, great to hear from both generations, and long may they reign. And indeed, the younger generation definitely worth watching, aren't they? Fantastic players coming through. OK, so this final so far, we've had a century, we've had 3 half-centuries, and we've had a black ball game. Not bad, is it? So here they come, Ronnie and Judd, coming out in the company of Olivier Marteel, refereeing his 2nd World Final. And here they come, a 32-year-old and the oldest finalist since Ray Reardon 20 years ago in 1982 in that final against Alex Higgins. And should Ronnie win, he will eclipse Reardon as the oldest champion here at the Crucible. Long way to go before either of these men lift that trophy. So back we go. 4 more frames this afternoon with Ken and Dennis.
Thank you, Hazel, and welcome back, everyone.
Thank you. Frame 5. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
And it's Ronnie's turn to break off. I'm sure Ronnie enjoyed the interval a little bit more than Judd after that 4th frame that, well, he did pinch in the end. Judd should have taken it, but that's long gone. And on we go with this little mini session, 4 more frames to be played. Oh, the red, is it in the pocket? And I think he can get past the yellow. Just about. Black's gone on the cushion, so he wouldn't cause an easy chance.
Yeah, the question will be how much of that previous frame is going to affect Judd in this next session. He's played this very well. Look at that for control. Perfect on the blue. He's had 15 minutes or so to get over it, but it can take a little bit longer sometimes when you lose a frame like that. It's a shock to the system.
Six.
I had lots of reverse side on that to try and get the other side of the blue. Didn't quite manage it.
Twelve. 13.
Has he got a slight angle? He looks a bit straight. It's unusual for Ronnie. He always seems to get the correct side of the blue. Slight bit of angle. And he's done well to create that spin on the cue ball there, but it's much more
18.
difficult now. He didn't fancy knocking that in and playing the difficult black along the cushion
18.
because he couldn't get to the reds. Well, that was asking a bit much for the pocket to accept the red at that pace.
It wasn't an easy pot. He was a long, long way away from it. And he's left this red up into the top right corner pocket, the green pocket. No.
Now this would be some shot if he could pot this and get on a balk colour to then get into the bunch. That was difficult.
Thank you.
It's a thin cut. This into the middle pocket. Managed to do it. He's got himself on the green to pot the green and go into the bunch. It looks to be the perfect angle. Well, he's very, very unfortunate there because he couldn't have played that any better.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 4.
Well, didn't get the cue ball to the ball cushion. Well, you can see this red is potable, but very, very dangerous. And very, very difficult just off straight. Straight attempts in this frame from Judd Trump. He's missed them all. I'm still reeling slightly.
Green blocking the escape route down the right side of the table, and this long red not very inviting because I think that's going to play a big part in it because, you know, Judd will know that he's long potting. He's not spot on with them, so he's got to maybe just change his game slightly, put a few safeties in, and once he gets in the balls, there's no problem. But he hasn't really been knocking the long ones in the way he normally does.
Yeah,
And of course he relies heavily on that to get himself in for the opportunity to win the frame. And safety has got to be on point against Ronnie O'Sullivan.
It's touching ball.
Touching ball, so really wants to be playing that cue ball down the left-hand side of the table as we look, somewhere down behind the yellow, and close to the ball cushion. Just much more difficult to get a good safety shot from on the yellow side rather than down here behind the green. But he's going down behind the green, but if he doesn't get this right, he could be in trouble. And he's played that pretty well. He's blocked the path down this right hand side.
No, that's a bit more like a Judd Trump
slide
shot.
off when you take a picture.
If he starts knocking that type of shot in, he can be very dangerous. Just finished a little awkward. Needs the rest. Switches hands with the rest. Left-handed, but uses the rest with his right hand, as a lot of left-handers seem to do. And this is excellent. As long as it bounces, surely it's not going to cover the red. Well, if that's happened, that is very unfortunate. If he can't get through to cut that red in. To travel this distance all the way around angles and to land in the most awkward of positions, but he feels he can still just get through. And he could.
Yeah, nice pot. But once again, not a great angle on either yellow or green. Pretty straight on both of them. So he doesn't have the angle to go into the pack of reds. Now is he on this red, the extreme
6
red left of the bunch now. Excellent shot with the rest.
7.
But still not in prime position.
Well, that's not an easy pink. The blue's a much easier pot, but he's got an awful lot to do with the cue ball to leave that red. That's to the left of the bunch. Back looking at the pink. This is a tester. Lovely cueing there, but with the cue balls finished up.
13.
I'm not sure if there's a red that'll go into the left middle pocket, but even if it does, the black's in an awkward spot. It'll go. It's a thin cutback. Just looking to see if he could drop in behind the black, but you can't see many more available from this situation. Unless you can cannon the black. No. And he tried to cannon the black out as well.
Trump, 13.
Dead weight, just fell slightly to the left. There you see it. Don't normally see that on these cloths, but nicely on the pink. You can play on the red to the left of the pink, or that red up near the left middle pocket.
Seven.
Ideally, you could put this red, get nicely on green or brown here, and go
8.
into those bunch of 6 reds anywhere right of the pink. It's a big target. Need a bit of luck, of course. He's played it lovely, and he's on a red. Well, does it? Does it pass this red into the corner? It must
11.
be close, but yeah, it does, yeah. So chance for Ronnie O'Sullivan here.
$12.
Judd took quite a risky one.
18.
To the left middle pocket, tried to bring the black into play. It was a tough shot though. But I don't think he was expecting Ronnie to drop the red in the middle pocket as he did. But he's certainly given himself a chance now. 27 in front, and the reds are perfectly placed.
19.
Certainly 3 of them are. That's all he'll need.
$24. 25.
Well, a bit short of pace this time. Was playing for the pink into the same pocket. Shouldn't be a problem for Ronnie. It's blue. It's nicely on the red. Good shot.
Yeah, that was just a little lapse in concentration, not to leave himself nicer on the blue, but he's looking very good. Knocked the blue in without any problem.
31.
Quick glance round at the scoreboard. 40 in front, so he needs one more red if he takes the yellow. And he hasn't hit that as he intended, so.
33.
Well, Judd missed a shot in the previous frame, right-handed. Ronnie was going to switch hands there. Switching hands cost Judd the 4th frame. Now he's got to sit there and see if Ronnie can knock this one in with the rest to secure this 5th frame. Quick glance at the scoreboard and tell him that the pink will keep Judd in his seat, he would say.
$40.
Doesn't matter about the red.
Well,
Judd
that's around
having a look
40.
at the referee.
And
yes, he's conceded the frame. It was a risky red he took into the middle when he tried to develop the black, and that cost him that frame. And Ronnie O'Sullivan extends his lead. It's now 4-1.
Well, Judd Trump was made to stew on his errors in that last frame before the interval, and it's been compounded now. Ronnie looking so crisp, so decisive out there.
Yeah, what Judd is in danger now in this session. Certainly looks like he's going to lose it. Damage limitations, how much can he save it? 5-3 rather than 6-2, 6-2 rather than 7-1. But the way it's going, Judd is obviously in that break. He plays lots of great shots, but then tries a risky red and then leaves the sort of scraps for Ronnie to clear up every frame. That's a dangerous, could be a dangerous way to go in this final if he's sort of scrambling for 30, plays a risky shot and keeps letting Ronnie in.
How worrying is this lead already for Trump fans, Steve?
Maybe not, maybe so, depending upon Ronnie and how great a front runner he can be. Can he keep up that pressure? What does tend to happen historically from watching many finals and long matches is that sessions are won by one player and the next time the session could be won by the other by a large margin. But as we've also mentioned, Ronnie O'Sullivan is arguably the greatest front runner we've ever seen. So there's the worry for Judd Trump. He's by no means completely in a hole, but he really doesn't want to get Ronnie to get that far away from him, because Ronnie's had it easy this tournament so far, and that is one way he could just blast through this match as well, more so than I feel Judd could do the same to Ronnie.
When you consider and you compare the level of intensity that we witnessed at the first part of the semi-final against John Higgins, he was almost bristling there. John himself said he was like a different animal out there. He was lethal. There's a different form of intensity. It's more of a focus, would you say, here, rather than that bristling?
Yeah, I mean, you're one match away from achieving what you want to achieve. But talking beforehand about Judd's B+ game in this tournament, that's not going to cut it in this final, I don't think. He's going to have to raise it.
Back we go.
Yes, he's definitely going to have to raise his game somewhat. But success for Judd Trump, down to the 80s. And there's another unforced error.
One.
He's already thinking at least 3 shots ahead. He's looking to see if he could Well, where he's got the white now, he'd be nicely on the black. You can drop in behind it, so he's back looking at it. He wants the black back on its spot.
Six.
And that's just about perfect.
Yeah.
13.
So first part of the equation done. Got the black on its spot. The second part, I'll be trying to split these reds off the black next black. Must finish low.
14.
That's what he's done now. He needs to go into the right-hand side of the pack as we look. That red, the extreme red, on the right-hand pack, just stun into that with lots of pace. Well, he screwed back, but he's okay.
21.
Oh, this is a bit difficult to judge. He's quite close to it. It's a delicate little shot, but no problem.
22.
It's almost like he prowls around the table like a tiger. Very intense focus. Total control.
$25.
I think he's on the red to the left of the bunch. This will open the whole game up. Watch this shot. He got to make sure he doesn't go in the middle pocket with a cue ball. Oh, that's
26.
wonderful. Wonderful shot. Oh, watch out, there's a rocket about.
Beautiful touch, wasn't it? Nice little kiss off that red. And try and get the pink. He would feel back on the spot now off this next red, and well, he doesn't need any more cannons. All those reds are beautifully split.
32.
He's absolutely buzzing at the moment.
$38. $39. $46. $47.
Delightful little shot, just stunning up between those two reds. Perfect on the blue.
$52. Cue ball.
I just spotted something on the cue ball there. He's going to take some stopping the way he's cueing at the moment. He's in complete control of his game, his focus. He's been like that throughout the whole of this year's Betfred World Championship. He really has looked very relaxed and focused around the table.
$53.
It's just wonderful to watch.
Nice little stun shot there, just
59.
to push that second red away. And when he came to the table, the pack of reds were all tightly knitted together. The black was near the left-hand side cushion. And with a couple of shots, he had everything in the open. Black back on its spot. Absolute genius.
67.
This is frame ball.
68.
And another century is looming.
I mentioned the other day there was people from all over the world here at the Crucible Theatre. The only country I didn't mention was Canada, and there's quite a few here from Canada as well. And Bob Chaperon's over for the World Seniors, which is here next week. And he was a former British Open champion,
82.
good friend of Cliff Thorburns. So he's in Sheffield.
83.
Quite a few Canadians here, and they'll be loving what they're watching here.
$90. 91.
Perfect angle on the pink just to drop behind this red. That's pretty good.
97.
Not the best angle, so now have to screw up for blue.
98.
Blue for the century, his 14th of this campaign. And in it goes. Ronnie O'Sullivan is on fire. 1,168 centuries now in his career.
105.
It's just a shame about his positional play, isn't it, Ken?
Foul. Ronnie O'Sullivan, 105.
Yeah, wonderful century from Ronnie O'Sullivan. Judd Trump stays in his chair. And the six-time champion extends his lead further. He leads Judd Trump by 5 frames to 1.
Yeah, what a glittering career. The greatest player that's ever picked a snooker cue up. The only record he hasn't got of Stephen Hendry is 7 world titles, and who's to say he won't equal the King of the Crucibles record this year. But Judd Trump will have something to say about that.
Thanks, Ronnie. Thank you. Frame 7. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
Bit too thin with the break-off shot this time, but the possibility for Judd, because he hit that break-off thin, that's why the white's not near the cushion. So Judd could do with knocking this in just to get a bit of confidence up and running again. Yeah, well played.
One.
And what a response to that long pot. But he's left with a very difficult black because he's tucked up on the cushion. And even if he was to pot the black, he wouldn't get on the red because the black would block it. So there's no value in taking the black on here. But at least Ken, that long pot will do his confidence the world of good.
Yeah, absolutely. He missed a few in the previous frame. Stephen said in the studio, he's just going to try and just not let Ronnie get away too early because he's such a good front runner. He's got to salvage something from these last two frames in this session. It's pretty good.
Come around and have a look at the two reds. See if they're a possible plant. Be playing the safety shot as well. That's the reds that he's just had a quick glance at. He's okay on an attention of cannon onto the blue. Wasn't far off making the plant. That's the target now for the players, to try and land in behind the blue.
Just got to be careful while playing this shot. He doesn't knock a red over this right corner pocket. It's just gone far enough to the right side cushion. It's good line and a good length of cue ball as well. And just about swerve around the brown here to hit the left hand side. That red just below the pink spot. Bit short of pace this one.
Pink and black tied up now. This next shot might, depending on whether he tries to, might develop the pink, which it has done. And look at the pace on this. Wow, a little bit, still very good, but a little bit further he could have sneaked in behind the yellow. But there is a long pot for Judd, but he's going to cannon the other red, so this could go wrong. He must pot the red. What a result. He had no idea what was going to happen. The cue ball there. And that was incredible. he made sure of the pot and just relied on, well, he knew he was cannoning into all sorts, but have a look at the series of cannons here that somehow developed the black. Amazing. But you've got to take advantage. If you get a little bit of good fortune, capitalize on it.
9.
Yeah, that might spark him back into life here. Judd Trump really needs to re-establish himself in this final, and particularly this session. Stop the rot. Sometimes a shot like that can just get you going again. Been frozen out in these last couple of frames.
Thank you.
Yeah, nicely played. Pink is available when it goes back on its spot into at least 3 of the 4 pockets. The black is available into the, well, is it available? He is coming around to have a look at it. He doesn't have to worry about the black, really. He can stay on the pink.
$16.
Well, there you can see it. Black not available into that corner either, so it will have to be the pink because the blue's off its spot. Now that was I think, is he just okay? I thought he might have knocked that red into an awkward spot.
22.
He's okay.
23.
So there's still 4 or 5 ring pinks available with reds here.
Yeah, it's just a series of little stun shots and screw shots here and around the pink, just
29.
control of the cue ball. So once again, doesn't have to develop anything here. So
30.
this would be a nice frame for Judd to win, and particularly in one visit.
$36. 37.
Yeah, 100% focus and concentration here.
43. 44.
I think he's just okay. A little bit further would have made it a bit easier, as you can see there.
A bit careless to leave himself that angle on the pink. Should have been at least 3 or 4 inches higher up the table, so had a natural angle to get back for these reds.
Stand still, please.
Just a little bit of movement in his eye line there. Oh, look at the side he's had on that. That's a wonderful shot.
50.
Well, that was a lovely positional shot, wasn't it? Now, can he pot this red into the right corner, and that would free up the black into that corner pocket. Wow, great shot. Right out
51.
through the gap. Very nice.
Yeah, I was thinking he was going to have to win one of the last 2 frames. There's a possibility he could, if he goes on to take this, he could win the last frame and close the gap to just 2 frames. If you offered Judd that now, he'd take it.
57.
Not quite safe just yet.
This could be the big shot, Dennis. If this goes in, he gets on a red. Good shot. How's his look on the red? Needs to slow up.
Only 65 in front, and there's still a possible 67 on the table. And this is a thin cutback. And his family there, Mum and Dad and his friend Darren, they'll be delighted with this result in this frame. He's capitalised on his bit of good fortune when he landed on the black. But
Green ball.
everything else has been superb.
$68.
Yes, a couple of wonderful shots there to
69.
keep the break going. Back perfect on the pink. Yeah, this has been a quality break from Judd Trump. He's had to work hard for it. The opening red was superb. Got a little bit of luck, but
75.
he made the most of it. Could disturb the 2 reds here, bring them into play.
76.
Now one good shot on the pink. Looks good, looks very good. Well, could we have another century dance? We've already been treated to 2.
82.
From Ronnie O'Sullivan. I'm sure the crowd would love to see
83.
another one from Judd Trump. It's really living up to all our expectations. This
89.
final already.
$90.
We've had 105 centuries in this year's Betfred World Championship. 108 was the
95.
record set last year. Oh, that spoiled it. He's going to have to fluke the
97.
green. Right. Hit it as hard as you can, Judd. Get in! No century break, but as Ronnie leaves the arena, that little bit of good fortune when Judd landed on the black, he took full advantage. And he closes the gap, but he still trails by 5 frames to 2.
Yeah, 97. No inhibition there. How much needed was that for Judd?
Wonderful from Judd. Yes, the first red, which he potted, which if he'd have missed that, it would have been horrible. Obviously, massive to get on the black. But then from there on in, it shows you how good he is. You know, because it would have been easier to have faltered, you know, from behind, thinking, oh, if I mess this chance up, it's golden. And he took him so well. So, yeah, it's nice to see that happen. And it's maybe the reason why, you know, Ronnie's not guaranteed to be able to get away from this guy, because he's got some character and guts.
Yeah, because at 5 on down, the alarm bells must be just starting to clang a bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a spectre of 6-2 or even 7-1 after the first session, which, you know, it really puts you behind the 8 ball, wrong sport. But yeah, I mean, Judd has dominated the sport for the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, winning, I don't know how many titles, 5 ranking titles one year, 6 another. So you would
14
expect
in the last 3 years.
you would
yeah.
expect some sort of response. You would expect him not to lay down and just let Ronnie just be the Ronnie O'Sullivan show in this final. Big frame coming up now though. If he gets out of this session 5-3, he's done very well.
It's actually a very interesting prospect because whoever wins this final will go back to number one. Ronnie's the current world number one. Judd started the season as number one, so there's a lot riding on this match.
Yeah, there is. And I'm not too sure. It changes all the time, the ranking list now, so it's different. You don't get it for the whole season, but it's still fascinating watching it happen. But as we always say, it always seems like the last frame of the session is worth 2 frames. Obviously, it's not, but the difference between 6-2, 5-3 seems massive.
This is it. Frame 8, last of the afternoon.
Yeah, last frame. Crucible crowd completely enthralled by it. Wonderful view from the back of theatre as Judd Trump makes his way back to the final frame of this session. And what an important frame it will be, particularly for him. If he can close the gap.
Thank you.
Just
The
2.
final frame of this session, Judd Trump to break.
From 5-1, he'd be extremely happy. So Judd Trump gets us underway.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Well, it's a similar situation, isn't it? Exactly. But Ronnie can get down off the reds, the left side of the table, so won't have to worry about replacing the cue ball. And that's careless. To catch the blue, there is a possible pot if he can avoid canning into the black here. And Judd knocked a long red in at the start of the previous frame, which he didn't go on to score many off it. He was a bit unlucky, but to knock a long red in, I think it'd give him a nice little confidence boost. Could this be another one? Certainly can. Okay, not perfect on his next colour, but once again, a good long pot. That little sort of smile tells you, how do I get to my next red? That blue at that pace was quite a tough pot.
6.
Just wondering if he took this red on, then it's the one just above the pink into this right corner pocket. Could leave the cue ball on the left-hand side of the black. I don't think he'd be leaving anything from the pack into any pocket. So you could play this with an element of safety. No, but what a shot. And what a cue ball as well. Excellent shot.
7.
Could have done with just being off this side cushion a little bit more. Yeah, it wasn't easy. I think you got a heavy contact on that as well.
7.
He was a bit unlucky there, Dennis, because it was a wonderful pot, wasn't it? Just another roll of the ball with the cue ball. He would have been perfect.
Well, he wasn't entitled to get a heavy contact like that. The black straightened up. Judd knew straight away he got a heavy contact. But the red was a fabulous shot. The black is a little awkward now and not straightforward. But we know what Ronnie's like with his power shots. Let's have a look at the angle on the red. He might be able to get back to the blue or on the pink without crashing into them. But, you know, he might just take the chance.
Yeah.
I wonder would he play that shot he played before, where he bounces the cue ball through the pack of reds. No.
One.
And that's not great.
Yeah, that was a bit surprising from Ronnie there, because there's two reds at the back and to the right of the bunch that are available, and he should have been nicely on the pink there. That, to me, was the wrong choice of shot there.
Ronnie O'Sullivan 1.
I think he was a little bit annoyed where he left the cue ball, and a bit of a rash one there. Black's just a little bit awkward for the safety shot, but I think he can hit this thin enough to keep it well away from the black. And with the blue up there, it's a big target, but has he found a gap here? It's a similar shot to the one he knocked in the previous frame, when he cannoned 2 or 3 balls and finished nicely on the black. I think he might be able to avoid the reds if he pots this. Well, he couldn't avoid the reds. That was far from easy.
Could be very costly. And he's looking at the pink into the left centre after this red. Oh, it's a bit hard, a bit pacey.
Oh.
Well, that's what he thought of that shot.
He hasn't even looked at the black. I don't know if he can get through to the black. If he's looking at the brown, well, he might, you know, he hasn't looked at it. He might be able to just sneak that in, but he didn't even look at it. This is tough. Oh, what a shot, though.
5.
Right in the centre of the pocket. He hasn't dropped perfectly on this red. Tough to judge the angle when you're this close to it.
6.
Lovely. Now the only problem about putting the black is, as we see this wonderful shot, is the black will go back on its own spot. But we won't be able to pot it, it'll be tied up with the red. So we'll have to concentrate on the pink now.
13. 14.
Can't quite tell if the pink spot's available. We'll find out very shortly. If not, we'll go on the blue spot, which is not a bad thing. Yeah, pink spot
20.
occupied, highest available. And only available spot was the blue.
21.
And expect him to put all his concentration into this effort. Because to take the session 6-2,
27.
he'd be more than pleased.
Well, this is a possibility. He could develop the black here. Play a little cannon on that red, just left of the black. He's got a nice angle. Natural angle. Doesn't like it. Back for the pink.
28.
He's played this nicely. Yeah, beautiful control. Just to miss the ball. Onto the left-hand side.
Long one, that's all.
I controlled that very nicely. Almost caught the green there. The extension on his cue and the extended rest, and he did very well to get nicely on the pink.
35.
So the key shot coming up. I don't know if he can, well, if the plant was on, that would be a bonus, but he can get into those 4 reds. He slid off them. That's the end of break. Unless this red somehow squeezes into the middle pocket
41.
Past the pink, but I don't think so. No, that's very tight. Just the safety.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 41.
Could have found a better safety shot than that. He left an easy escape for Judd, and you know where the blue's situated. I mean, he's looking at the possibility of a plant, but it's a safety shot that he'll be concentrating on. If he gets a good cue ball here, he could put Ronnie in a spot of bother. And that's pretty good.
He's got him. He's got him snookered on all reds. It was an excellent shot. Trying to 2-cushion escape, trying to clip one of these reds just below the pink.
Foul and a miss. Judd Trump, 4.
Yeah, that'll be going back.
Yeah, it was very tight as to whether the angle was available there to get past the brown and hit enough of the side cushion. Because he was so close to the brown to get the angle. Yep, Ronnie's happy. Can he make the slight adjustment to catch the edge of those reds?
foul and a miss. Judd Trump, 6.
Definitely got closer, okay. Now these two balls, a possible plant. Judd is having a good look. Well, yeah, pretty close. Maybe worth taking on. It's only because he knocked the pink out away. He's left this a possibility. There's not much of a gap between the two. And he did get close to this, to getting out of the snooker. So this is worth taking on for Judd Trump here.
Yeah, it had to be made. He had to hit the first red on the thin side, and he achieved that. That's just about okay. You can pot this red and just stun over past the 2 reds to leave the pink. Well, he's going to have to take it up into the corner now. He wanted to leave it for the middle.
5.
Just drop the pink in and leave the 2 reds for the right corner, but that's finished a little awkward now. Still might be able to get onto the reds, but there's a slight angle on the pink. Yeah, he can get over on the reds. Perfect.
Yeah, nice
11.
pink to keep the break going. Still not ideal. That red is tied up. The black could cause a problem.
12.
And the red is close to the right-hand side cushion. Overscrewed the cue ball slightly.
18. $19.
Yeah, good recovery. And now it starts to get a little bit problematic.
Blue ball.
Is he going to play this right-handed?
24.
Can he reach it with his left hand, stretching?
I'm just wondering, Dennis, with the angle that he has, can he pot the red and maybe disturb the red just to the left of the black, bring that into play at the same time? Doesn't like it.
Well, he knows the importance of this final frame of this session. He's made sure of the red. He's on the pink. And if anyone can get a forcing shot to get to that red to the left of the black, it's Judd Trump. I mean, he could just contain things, pot the pink, and then try and play the snooker on the last red, but we know how attacking he is. But let's see what his choice is here. Yeah, he's going to try and just get the snooker.
Yeah, he's done well.
31.
He's back in the frame. If he lays a nice snooker, red up into the bulk area, cue ball behind the black. He's back in good position now.
31.
And just goes favourite to win this last frame of the session. Ronnie needs a good escape. Not hard to hit the red, but hard to get safe.
What was clever there was to keep the red away from the cushion, because there's so much room around the back of it, whichever side of the table he goes. So he's got to judge this to perfection between the yellow and brown to hit the red. And there was always that gap around the back, and where's the cue ball going to finish?
Fall and a miss.
This will be, well, it's a free ball, but I think Judd, well, he'll come and have a look at the possibility of taking the free ball, but I think at this stage, and it'll be in the final frame of this session, it'll be a brave shot to take the black on as an extra red. But he's chalking that cue.
Black ball.
No, no.
Well, that was the wrong choice for me. Okay, if the black goes in, but he was in. He had his opponent in a very difficult situation there. Probably should have put it back. Could cost them the frame. Ronnie O'Sullivan could have the advantage here. He certainly could.
I don't know whether a lot of people noticed he just switched hands and knocked that in with his left hand. What a shot. I mean, this is tough enough. You're playing with your proper hand, but to switch hands and knock that in. Got to keep away from the middle pockets, though, here. Which he has done. If he misses the blue, it's perfect. If he cannons the blue, he could be in trouble. Well, can you believe it?
8.
Why hit it so hard?
Foul. And a miss. Ronnie O'Sullivan 8. Judd
So
7.
unlucky to snooker himself with the blue there, but he should have taken a little bit more time escaping from the snooker.
He played it very fast, didn't he?
Ronnie. Yeah.
The referees.
What gesture did you see? I saw it. No, tell me. What did you see? I'm not gonna, tell me what you said. I'm not going to see it on No, TV. you tell me what you said. You saw nothing. You saw I'll nothing. tell you. Go and look at the camera. You saw nothing.
I'm not.
I'm not sure what went on there. Something
Thanks,
was
Judd.
said, but Olivier Marteel just having a word with Ronnie and Judd. Nothing to do with Judd.
Sorry.
Judd just wants to know what was happening.
Yeah, but I had to say something, Judd. I had to.
Could have said it after the game.
I had to.
Yeah, whatever it was Judd said to the referee, well, you could have had a word after the game. But, so I'm not quite sure, Ken. We could have done without this just for the end of this
Exactly.
magnificent session that we've had here.
And it's a very important part of this session. Very important frame. It's getting a little tense between Ronnie and the referee, and Judd doesn't want that. This is a big shot. He's going to take it on. He's got it. He kept his concentration. And what a good shot that was. Yeah, great chance to steal the frame.
Now, is he going to switch hands here? Or can he reach it? It's a bit of a stretch. He can just get there.
5.
Players have got just over 2.5 hours before they're back for the second session. He's done remarkably well, has Judd Trump, to win the last 2 frames. That's something a bit special. Smiles all around there. I'm not sure what went on with the referee, but Judd Trump has taken those 2 frames, but he still trails by 5 frames to 3.
And all things considered, having been 5-1 down, Judd Trump, I'm sure, will be feeling pretty sprightly at getting out of that 5-3, Stephen.
He'll be delighted because, I mean, he was in that frame, he was out of that frame, he was back in it, and then obviously Ronnie pots that magnificent red with his left hand. You think he's going to clear up, snookers himself. So yeah, Judd Trump will be absolutely over the moon with that 5-3 result.
Meanwhile, it would appear that Ronnie fuming about something.
Okay, well, we don't know. It felt like maybe the frustration that maybe an obscenity was said, and Olivier Marteel may have pulled him up on it. But forget that. It was an embarrassing moment maybe for Judd Trump, because he didn't want that. He just wanted to pot the yellow. So what a great yellow that was, with that being in the mix as well.
Absolutely. Okay. Overall, how should we assess that opening session of this year's final?
Well, I mean, it had everything, didn't it? We had the centuries, we had the drama with the respotting the cue ball. It was a fantastic session of snooker. As I say, Judd, maybe not at his absolute best after the first frame, but I mean, it just sets it up beautifully for tonight at 5-3. 6-2 would have been a bit on edge for Judd, but 5-3 sets it up beautifully.
And at one point, at 5-1, I'm sure there were many people at home thinking, this is looking like a runaway. It ain't now.
Yeah, easy. Yeah, a great performance by Judd to hang on in there. Yeah, he decided to choose to play that black from the free ball he was given, where many people would have gone, no, I'll put him back in. And when he missed it, we were going, wrong shot. And then Ronnie pots the red and it looks like he's going to punish him. That would have been a hurtful moment. He got away with that. So Judd has tried to be as brave as he possibly could, and he's got the reward for his bravery. But what a fantastic session of play by both of them. They're playing magnificently.
They are, and it's great to see that they have brought some game to this final, isn't it? Because I guess there's always the danger that you get a little bit punched out as you get towards the final line.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you want Judd to win those last 2 frames. The last thing we want is a one-sided final. We want these 2 players to play at their best and really, have a right go at each other in this match. That's what everyone wants to see. And for Ronnie's case, whatever's gone on with the referee, it's good time for him to finish this afternoon session, you'd have to say.
Absolutely, yeah, okay. In terms of things going close, I noticed that it was 20 years ago that we had the last final frame decider. I think for the last, 6 or 7 years, it's gone to about frame 33. So we've had, I think, apart from Ronnie's year when he beat Kyron, obviously, but I think that's the only one in the last 6 years or so that hasn't run quite close. So everybody at home's looking for that, aren't they?
Yeah, I think it's tough to really win a World Championship final by a long margin. It does happen every now and again, but there's an element of the other guy can relax a bit and get back into it. So it's always sort of stretching away, then the other guy comes back a bit.
OK, well, as you know, Sheffield is the home of this great championship, has been since 1977, and it's an event that really has helped put this city on the sporting map. Although snooker's not the only sport in town here, you know.
I'm delighted to be joined by Kate, the Executive Director of Sheffield City Council. Kate, great to have you here. Could you just start by summarising how this is such a significant year for sport in Sheffield?
Absolutely. It's a fantastic year for sport in Sheffield. As a city, we are hosting 3 international events across the city. First of all, the World Snooker, held here at the Crucible, a fantastic event that always brings energy and excitement well to our city. In July, we're then hosting, as part of one of 9 cities across the UK, the Women's Euro 2022 Games at Bramall Lane. And then later on in the autumn, we're also playing host to the World Rugby League Cup and that championship event. It's a fantastic opportunity, 3 international events in our fantastic city, and we're very, very, very proud of this achievement.
Absolutely, and we've got this beautiful trophy next to us for the UEFA Women's Euros. It's important, isn't it, that youngsters coming through and the next generation of stars potentially go to these events and believe that they can achieve the same?
Absolutely. All three events are leaving a real lasting legacy across our city, not only supporting local businesses and the economy, but grassroots sport, participation, and in particular women, young girls, and also we're really, really proud that as part of the Rugby League Championship, we're also hosting the wheelchair participation sport as well. It's going to be a fantastic whole year for the city, and we are delighted that the snooker has kicked off this brilliant championship year for us.
Absolutely, and after these 17 days of snooker, it's great that you can keep that buzz going, isn't it, with 2 further events? Absolutely, and the legacy actually will continue across the city. All the programmes have brilliant legacy participation programmes, well, for volunteers, for those that want to coach, mentor, or get involved in sport and leisure, and as part of our long-term cultural programme. So we're really excited about this fantastic year. Absolutely, a very exciting time for Sheffield indeed. Thank you very much. Thank you. And our reporter Abigail Davis doing a sterling job, as she has done for the entire championship. It's been great to have her as part of our team. Now, tell me about the way these finals work. You guys have more experience than anybody of these things. We talked in a best of 25 about a moving session, the middle one, but how did you approach a 4-session match, especially at this critical point, Stephen?
It's weird because, funnily, I used to switch on more I think the 2 evening sessions. Obviously, tomorrow night it's the final session. But I always think the evening sessions are more of an occasion almost. The afternoon session, you sort of play yourself in, feel your opponent out, and try and settle into a game. But the evening session is tonight is a big session. I always felt that way.
Did you view it like that, Steve?
Yeah, I think probably the crowd are a little bit more up for it as well. Each session you treat as its own event, effectively. You're supposed to anyway. And how that session unfolds can be a different storyline from anything else that's happened. But obviously, if you're coming in with a lead or you're behind, you try to protect your lead. It's a different mindset to when you start the match off. And trying to come back is obviously another one as well. So the storyline unfolds and the players have to react to it.
Indeed it does, and it will continue to unfold from 7 o'clock tonight, because we've got 9 frames to play then in their second session of this final. And then, of course, there's a possible 18 more to play on your bank holiday Monday as well. So you next couple of days are all snooker-tastic, as they are here in Sheffield. We'll catch you again in just a few hours' time. 7 o'clock sharp. See you soon. Bye-bye for now.